I said, hey, welcome to the Man Cave Happy Hour. I said, hey, welcome to the Man Cave Happy Hour. We're gonna drink a fine whiskey and smoke a really fine cigar.
Oh, it is time for Happy Hour. It is the Man Cave Happy Hour. Whiskey, cigars, spirits, and stories that go along with it. I'm Jamie Flanagan.
I'm August Kitschlag.
And playing the role of Matt Fox today.
Can he play the role? I don't know. It's quite. I thought, is it a role? Is it to fill the shoes of Matt Fox? Well, we brought in another legend,
Craig Fowley. Craig, welcome to the Man Cave.
I'm excited to be here. Sunday, it's beautiful. I don't know if we have dates that we can talk about on this show or not, but you know,
it's the Lions Hangover Day.
Absolutely.
And I have to sit here and push my voice amongst you two professionals. You guys have combined like decades of radio, and I'm just like guy who drinks a lot and has a lot of friends. So I got to make my voice sound like I.
But you know what's important in life? Clearly, the friends part is more important than the radio experience. I promise.
So we want to bring you out. We've been meaning to have you on the show, and we're like, hey.
Yeah, Matt
Sunday will be a great day.
I'm going up north. I'm like, let me call Craig. We run into each other 3-4 times a year.
Yep, something like
that.
Every
time we run into each other, we're like, hey, let's do the podcast about whiskey. You and I sit there and drink Jack Daniels together and talk about whiskey.
On occasion, we have done that.
We've done that.
Yes,
so if it was time, we'd bring him on the podcast and compare you guys' pipes. You know,
it didn't take me long to say yes.
No, it didn't.
I think you texted me. I'm like, as a guest. Sure. Yeah. So I was excited to do it.
So the elephant in the room, the room that we're in is a whiskey taco Foxtrot. And we're going to be doing Canadian whiskey because the elephant in the room is like we're all dressed like lumberjacks. And I'm not even sure what Canadian swinger you are. Just so you want to go outside and have a dart. You know, it's
we're doing one of our we're coming to you live from downtown Clawson, beautiful downtown Clawson. Where I was once an official here.
Yes.
And I got to meet some of the great business owners. And one of the ones that I met that I kept the relationship with was Charles Sampson here, him and his dad. Yep. And they opened this place up here. And it's just a gem. It's such a great joint all around. It's whiskey taco joint.
Whiskey taco joint.
What
else did you want besides margaritas? And we have great margaritas.
Yeah, great margaritas. Tell us how this came about.
So I was working for a company called
No.
This
before you.
Oh, we got back up. I forgot.
Charlie, tell me about your childhood.
Yeah, we forgot.
Tell me about your childhood.
My childhood.
Yeah.
I had a good childhood.
Yeah.
Good parents. Grew up right here in Clawson.
Yeah. Okay.
So just actually a stone's throw away from here. So kind of grew up in Clawson. Typical kid, riding bikes, did art, whole bunch of fun stuff like that, and kind of always wanted to do something cool in Clawson as I got older and older, and it ended up coming to fruition. And that's where I'm at now.
All right.
My whole life was just wanting a taco and whiskey joint. Even at the age of 7, I had this voice at the age of 7. They said I had a face for radio, but
So that leads us to where you were just a second ago. I'm sorry, I had to do that. I just had to dive in and do that. Sorry, August. But so telling us about the conception of this.
Yeah. So I was working on the road a lot. My dad and he always knew I wanted to have a bar, always wanted a restaurant. I'd kind of just been in the food industry, which I kind of fell into because I just studied all the different things, but never food, and then found it here. So we had an opportunity, so we opened up the spot. We opened up on March 8th of 2020, and then about 8 days later, we had to shut down and go to 50% capacity. We ran through that, did a lot of marketing in the neighborhood, tried to be very community root focused, and it really had great success. Just kind of being here, present in the community. Obviously, big events were one of our big saving graces, and kind of how this Whiskey Society started was around December, kind of through that time frame. We were like, we need to get a good influx of some money. Like, let's get some people interested in whiskey. How do we get them in here? We started a Whiskey Society. We had a line at the door the day we announced it.
Nice.
They came in. We got them signed up. We partnered up with Detroit City Distillery in that first round and got bottles of whiskey for our club members. And it's a beautiful rye whiskey, which
Mike and the boys do good work down there.
They do.
They really do. So.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's a very whiskey focused, but the food is yummy as well. So the recipes for the food. Do you have a master chef back there? Who's coming up with these ideas?
So it started with my one of my chefs that I worked with at my other company. We kind of came on and we took some recipes that were core here. Obviously, we didn't want to alienate customers that were coming to the spot before when we took this over, but we wanted to be very taco focused. So we kind of started looking at it and it was like, okay, well, let's have fun with these traditional recipes, but adding a modern twist to them. He went on to do other things. He's up in the UP, I think, doing some stuff up there.
Okay.
And now the chef that I have in place, him and I work together on making a lot of the recipes and going
You
that
guys
whole
rotate
route.
your taco menu pretty regularly, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, we do a monthly taco. We now actually just introduced wings, so you'll start seeing a monthly wing as well as a monthly taco, just to try to kind of promote a little bit different food and whatnot. You know, it's always competitive industry. So
tell me more about this Whiskey Society. How does one become a member? What does it entail?
So it is a yearly fee, $180. We do a whiskey tasting a month. They are super elaborate sometimes, and sometimes they're a little more chill and fun, but Jen, who is our heart of the Whiskey Society, has helped us with pretty much all of them kind of since about 2 years ago almost. Yeah.
What's today?
Today is the ABCs of Canadian whiskey. That was Jen's title. She's very good at our side of that. So, but yeah,
everyone's in their Canadian tuxedos. Your denim on denim.
My finest. I think I got this from my father.
Probably. I was hoping the old man would pop in here.
He probably will.
He'll show his face. Yeah. So the old Master Chief, who was a military retiree lifer.
I was going to say the name obviously has something to do with that.
Was 41 years in the Navy. We're trying to say, and just he's been a lifer and loved it, and I think he'd still be in today if they would let him. So
yes, because he has more stories to earn and tell. He will tell them to you when he gets here. So sorry, what do we have in front of us here?
Well, I'm not done yet.
Oh,
We're talking about Canadian. We're talking about Canadian whiskey, right? Yeah. But so Charlie, when you're picking things to bring into the bar, how many different whiskeys do you have up on the shelf?
Oh,
would you say
I think right now we are about 86 different whiskeys that we have all together.
All right.
And then rotates through. We try to bring other ones in. Jen's always bringing us new stuff.
Well, that's what I was going to turn the mic and point
it real bad back there, didn't they?
At Jen. So Jen, when you have a restaurant like this and they have a unique menu, what's something? How do you help them curate their spirits?
So as a sorry, this is Jen Cherry.
Hey,
by the
Jen.
way.
Yeah, Jen.
Tell us about your childhood, Jen.
I started off as a young lady in Texas.
Oh, wow.
My twang comes out when I'm a little bit tipsy or tired.
All right. We're looking forward to that today.
And I'm a little tired today because of last night.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm a spirits educator and kind of landed in this role as a liquor leprechaun, if you will. Meeting Charlie and what he's done here in Clausen really allows me to flex what I love the most, and it's storytelling. Storytelling with every bottle has a history, has an artistry, and we just do that here. I think that we give people a story through time with what's on his back bar. Yeah. Every one of those whiskeys, tequilas, they have their own individual mark and make of something beautiful, and sometimes they're silly with how we got there. Like certain brands, flavored whiskeys as a category, some people poo on it, right?
People will cringe just at the word,
right?
Flavored whiskey, yeah.
But if you look at it, a flavored whiskey is just a bartender taking a spirit off the back bar, adding some bitters to it and some sugar.
Yeah.
We can't fault someone for saying, hey, let's bottle this up and make some money off of it.
Right.
So but here, when we get to the vast different styles of what he has behind his bar, really giving Clausen just a unique place to go, not only with amazing food, but also with a unique experience. And then the Whiskey Society on that gives people to do something on Sundays.
Yeah.
And I'm just happy to be a part of it because I get to talk of those stories that make you appreciate what's in the bottle even better.
And so things are happening in this area of Clausen. Like things are opening up every day. Oh wow, look what's there now. As soon as I got out of the car, I looked over and saw how many people were in the window at the eating brunch over there. I'm like, wow, they got a liquor license at the Korean chicken place now.
Right.
I mean, everything's kind of like happening down here.
So I love that today is Canadian whiskey because it's like it's to Michigan and the Metro Detroit area. Anybody growing up through the 70s and 80s, yeah, your parents and grandparents bars. That was it. That was the Canadian
the Canadian Crown,
yeah. So Greg, you hosted Detroit Today for a long time. So what's your experience with Canadian whiskeys as a Detroiter?
You know, it was one of those things. It was just part of the lore of the city because of all the stories about rum runners and everything else that was going on back then. And, you know, the Hiram Walker Distillery, the Canadian Club sign that used to be on the other side of the river that you would see. And, of course, trips
day every once in a while.
Trips to Windsor.
18-year-olds heading over. When you turned 18, you were heading over for the party.
You're going to Windsor because we were allowed to go there when we couldn't here in the United States. So, I mean, it was just always there.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that I appreciated it back then because it was just a means to an end in a lot of ways. And I think that sort of attitude about Canadian whiskey is sort of stuck around.
Yeah.
Whereas bourbon gets the spotlight, Canadian sort of get
Canadian
short
Club
shrift.
was the gateway whiskey for all of us at a certain age. Right. And if we were fancy, we're stealing the Crown Royal off of Grandpa's.
Crown Royal was always a little too sweet, but you know, I mean,
I can't handle their flavored ones. Like I got gifted a bottle of the peach, and I'm like, I can't drink it. But give me regular, and I'm fine.
You know, mix it with the right stuff, it might be decent.
I don't like to disparage certain whiskeys at all or spirits because who knows, I might have to try to sell it tomorrow. But there are so many out there that I am like, how am I going to put lipstick on this kid?
Yeah.
Black velvet.
That was underneath my grandma's sink forever.
You know, the thing is that bourbon gets this beautiful elitism, right?
Yeah.
But because we kind of look at Canadian whiskey as like the wild, wild west, the rules are not as elite. They can kind of they don't really have mash bills. But when we start actually breaking down the artistry of what Canadian whiskey is, we can start to see some beauty in it and some true loveliness that we can enjoy as whiskey drinkers. In fact, today's Whiskey Society is actually roses are red, glue is pasty, Canadian whiskey is actually tasty.
So we're all going to get a little wiser today about Canadian whiskey. I cease and desist. All right.
A little foreshadowing there.
I will not do that. So we're going to walk through. We do have some things before us here, right?
Yes.
Who's going to walk us through this? Charlie, Jen, you're going to both of you guys?
Exactly what the Whiskey Society is doing today, right? So we're just doing it a little bit early.
We are at the crack of dawn.
That's right.
We are going to ruin your
drink
Sunday
all day if you don't start early, right?
Don't plan on doing anything this evening if you're going to do a whiskey club. You know, it's
that's fine.
It's a good experience.
I'm just going to watch football on the couch all day. So
I mean,
this prepares you for it.
It is 1 part educational, 3 parts tasting, and 100% shenanigans.
I love it.
Hence denim on denim. We'll be doing a fashion show later with the guests. We have encouraged all the members of society to come in their best denim.
There's
Canadian
a catwalk set up. I love this. I love. You guys do it. You do it right here.
You would be amazed at how many people do dress up for these as well. Like you'd think a bunch of grown adults would not be dressing up this. I have a whole closet full of dressed up stuff at this point.
I feel you, brother.
I never thought that would be a thing.
Oh, it's a thing.
I do like the idea of making this fun though, and reducing some of the snobbery around whiskey because, frankly, it's impacting prices, and that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
That's a whole other.
All those outdated things. All right, so this is the Wiser lineup. Is this?
So this is actually this is Wiser's and Lot 40.
Yeah, she's good.
Okay,
she's good. Okay. If you guys as you're talking, pull it towards yourself a little bit more.
Microphone
that's cool.
work.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yes.
So
on the run.
So the Hiram Walker Distillery, just as you guys said, right across in Windsor, one of the largest distilleries in North America, and a huge part of our history here in Michigan. Mm-hmm. They make so many different things that NDA allows us not to talk about.
Fair play.
But so today we have 3 of the age statements from Weiser's, and then we're going to finish with a 100% rye, because that's a huge misconception of Canadian whiskey. Everybody thinks it's all rye.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's not. It's mostly that beautiful soft corn that is grown just north of our border. So we start first with the flagship of JP Weiser's, which is the 10-year.
And that's been bouncing around for like the last 2 years with the Red Wing emblem on it here in the Metro Detroit area. That's been fun.
Yeah. So originally, right, the Red Wings, they had their training facility while their facility here in Detroit was being built was over there.
Oh,
so it's a really nice homage to the city of Detroit. We're going to get a little bit more wiser. Yeah. So,
yes.
As you guys are
sniffing away,
I see you putting your nose in there.
I end up sniffing my microphone too. I'm like, I do that all the time, so I don't mind it. Anyway, so as we're sniffing away,
so I want you to lift up the back of your palate and your mouth, and that's going to really, our nose really lets us feel what's going on with the whiskey itself, and what you smell and what you taste are going to be a little bit different, right? So this beautiful soft corn notes with, there's only a little bit of rye in here. And as Canadians, the way that they build their whiskey programs, they don't really talk about mash bills because
no, that's not something you associate with Canadian whiskey at all.
No, and because they don't have to. The artistry comes in with the blending.
Well, they're all blends.
Yeah.
And I've never been afraid of a blend, whether it's even American and if you're blending it, it means you have a this is how you want it to taste, and it tastes like that every time you buy the bottle, and that's kind of a good thing.
Yeah,
I prefer my good blended whiskey, so yeah, I like this.
I mean, think about like your stock pot, right? If you throw everything in your pot, and you're having a dinner party or Sunday supper, you're not gonna serve the soup to the family without tasting it and really trying to make sure, do you need a little more salt? Do you need a little bit of lemon or whatever? And that's why
it's a delicious, easy sipper.
Yeah. It's so good. Dr. Don Livermore is the master blender at JP Weiser's. Dr. Don.
Dr. Whiskey Doc.
He is actually the first to have a PhD in whiskey.
Oh,
get out. Game on.
What's the board he sits in front of? Is it actually Jack Daniels ghost, Jim Beam's ghost? That's what he does a dissertation to be a doctor of whiskey. You know,
I mean, he studies so much the cellulose structure of wood that he's literally, you just pulled it up. He's created a flavor wheel that you can break down the chemical compounds that are released in the distillation process.
Good luck reading that, but yeah.
Well, at the facility at Weiser's, they have it on an entire wall, so it's really easy.
Yeah.
And also, let's get you guys to the distillery and do a.
Are you threatening us with a good time?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Jen always does this.
Okay.
Here is my carrot, and I'm dangling it in front of your face.
We're coming.
We'll bite.
So the 10-year is such an easy sipper, right? And it's also affordable. You don't normally see a 10-year whiskey out there that you're not like, how much is that going to hurt my wallet? And I think that Canadian whiskeys do get that bad rap, right? Because they are kind of cheap, right?
Yeah.
And that's because the history of Canadian whiskey dates back to the Civil War, when it was really expensive to make stuff with the taxation, with the different armies, and the whiskey barons of Canada were literally like, here's our in. We can use railways that were new and just really get stuff out to the public that's not taxed, right? So I'm not getting like a lot of, I'm getting whiskey. It's whiskey. And it was like the third sip. I'm finally getting wood, and it's woody. Yeah.
Is what I'm getting. So it's a straight up woody. It's not oaky or it's just wood. Is what I'm getting on the 10-year. But yeah, it's a nice easy sipper.
So the distillation process, the fermentation process, it's really cool when you go to the facility because you see the grain elevator, you see the farmers come in with their big trucks, and they have this big giant probe that they put down into the back of the trucks for the farmers, because farmers are smart.
Yeah.
They'll put their good grains right on top, and they'll hide their other stuff in between.
Good batch.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why the person who's running the grain elevator is behind bulletproof glass. Because if that's your harvest, right?
Yeah.
You're just like, nope, not good enough. You got to go on down the road and make gasoline.
Ethanol, right?
Right. That's the way that, and I see you're looking at the
Yeah,
looking at the
too.
color, right?
Yeah. I drank my first one, so I forgot to look at the color.
So what does age do to color? If you're starting to see, as you hold up the 15 and the 18 that we're going to be tasting, you'll start to see the throw offs of that, right? So back in the day, basically in the 1900s, nobody was really, people were coming to get their liquor with whatever vessel they had, right?
Right.
So whether it was a glass vat, whether it was a buckets, whether it was a barrel, well, that barrel used to maybe carry fishky.
Fishy.
I'm not down for that.
Little kippers with my whiskey.
Little herring. Little.
Be herring. Be herring. Yeah.
So we started charring the barrels, right, to kind of get rid of all of those odors. Here in
there you go.
America, in order to be called bourbon, right, you have to have a new charred American oak.
Yeah.
Well, you don't really have any of those. You don't really have any of those legalities when we look at Canadian whiskey, but they're just going to do it anyway because it adds something to it. You know, charring
There's
the barrel.
a whole nother flavor to the 15.
Oh yeah.
It's, I mean, just that it's a whole different kick in the mouth.
There's an it's an entirely different aroma.
Everything about it's different
on it for sure.
I was like, whoa, okay.
Jen, on these, I feel they are using the ex bourbon cask.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all of what Dr. Don does is he'll use French oak, Hungarian oak, new American oak, charred American oak, and it's really his artistry as a master blender on what he's going to do. But then also, you're throwing it in a barrel with angel share and rick houses. What's it going to taste like in 15 years?
Right.
That's why that grain elevator is so important, because if there is a fungal in there, we're gonna show up 18, 20. They actually just released a 42-year-old.
Oh, Jeebus.
Oh yeah, we don't have that one today.
No.
Is she single?
One day.
Who knows?
Oh,
Sorry, I'm referring to my notes here because I
please.
represent
Okay.
over like 450 brands.
I get it.
should
I
get
get
it.
it. I'll tell you what.
It's, you know,
First one went down way too quick considering how much I had last night
yeah.
while
Oh.
watching the Lions game. So
I purposely stayed away from this.
yeah, I did not stay away at all. So that went down way too quick.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm starting to become myself again. Oh, starting to feel normal, you know. So yeah, that second one, that 15 was great.
Yeah.
See, it's interesting. I like the nose of the first one better, but the taste of the second one. This 15.
So the nose is way more complex.
What is the price point difference when we're looking at
From the 10 to the 15,
and then 18?
Not much.
Really? Okay.
I mean, are we
No.
looking at under $40 a bottle here?
Yeah, that's why
That's what I think the average whiskey drinker wants to hear.
it's wicked rad, eh? Like
Yeah, okay.
that's why tasting these, just like Canadian whiskey is actually tasty, and gone are the years of just the rot at the bottom shelf of the grocery store.
Yeah,
Really.
I mean, I got a fun. I didn't know that there was anything other than Canadian Club.
Yeah.
Until
seven
I got
Coke.
lost in the Olympia room at age 23 underneath Joe Louis Arena, and it was the Canadian Club Olympia room, and I saw 10-year, 25-year, and all these other higher end Canadian clubs on the shelf. I'm like, what? That exists?
Yeah.
I've never sold it at the party store on the corner growing up, you know. And you learn that they had aged Canadian whiskeys. It wasn't just the one bottle of straight, you know, just bottle of Wiser's or a bottle of Canadian Club, a bottle of Crown Royal. It was literally the Olympia room underneath Joe Louis that I discovered that there was aged whiskey.
One of the things I found super interesting kind of researching in this Canadian whiskey is the way they operate their rick houses compared to Kentucky, where Kentucky you have a lot of open air, people are in and out, they do tours. Canadian, they basically warehouse it and lock it up just with the colder temperature. So you tend to get this, you know, it's cooking inside there in the summer. And they were talking to the point where they were like, you can't bring a lighter into it because there's so much alcohol in the air. And it's when you think about that concept of like you're basically roasting in these Canadian warehouses as opposed to Kentucky warehouses, it's really an interesting way to kind of think about it. But really got me more into like, oh, I'm going to try more of these and get more of them in. And that Lot 40, this is
Well, we'll get to
by
that in a
far one of my
minute.
favorites.
That's one that I have ordered off
Yeah.
the shelf in bars before,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I saw it. Yeah, for sure.
So the third one, I know you guys are still enjoying your 15-year-old. That sounds horrible to say.
You said it. I did.
I know.
Whiskey. 15-year-old whiskey.
I'm a public official, Jen. Come on.
I teach high school. This is
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, my cheeks are as red as my earrings.
And I'm usually the one doing the awful, inappropriate jokes.
I'm making
You know,
jokes, right?
Just doing the-
Your 42-year-old bottle of
Welcome
booze
to
was
the
big.
party, Jim.
Oh,
I was having a hard time making fun of their last name's Cherry. I was like, don't do it.
Yeah,
Don't
you
do
just
it.
did it.
Don't
And-
do
No,
it.
you know, you,
All right,
you held off for
Turn
a
his
while.
mic off.
I did.
It's okay, and I'm a redhead. It's all right.
I was proud of you for about a half hour there.
There are no jokes that I did not hear at 14 years of age, answering the phone calls. So
Oh
yeah,
my, yeah.
we're good. We're fine. You know,
But- We're moving into the 18.
okay.
Let's move on to the booze.
Let's get them legal here. All right, the 18.
Illegal.
Still dangerous.
So is the mash bill the same from the 10 to the 15 to the 18?
So that's the thing is we don't really
We don't
talk
talk
about
about it, yeah,
mash
I know.
bills.
Oh, it's like Fight Club.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like yeah.
We don't. It's the first rule of mash bills. You don't talk about mash bills.
because what's going into the fermentation tank
Sure.
is different.
Okay.
Just like there is no 51% corn, 51% rye to be called this, that, or whatever.
That's where the doc comes in and the
Dr.
blending
John,
and the
the
is
master
now
blender.
is he the blender too?
Yes, he
Okay.
is the master blender.
Okay.
And Hiram Walker, I'm just going to say this, is really, really lucky to have him.
Yeah.
When he speaks, he really changed the way whiskey tastings are.
Uh-huh.
He has this element of storytelling. And that's what it is. You have to understand the history of where things come from to where you can go in the future. And he's got the books that he's written are so engaging because he layers those elements. And I think that he does that too really delicately in his whiskey. Like I said, with the grain elevator, they're having to see what might be a potential problem 40 years down the line.
Right.
He's also building the foundation for success for the next generation of whiskey drinkers and master blenders out there. So when we get to the 18, let me grab my notes.
All right. Yeah. The notes on the 18.
I have a
The
feeling
nose.
we're going to see Miss Cherry again on the Man Cave Happy
Oh,
Hour with another tasting like this in
I hope
studio.
so. Well, yeah, we could. Yep.
If you think you got your chops now, you know.
We're just
No,
a hop and a skip
no.
from here. So.
I'm barely keeping up with water at this point.
You're doing great.
Just tell them it's going to be fun.
yeah.
It'll be fun. How many times have I sent that to you in the last 24 hours?
Can I wear my orca costume?
Next time, yes. It's fun.
Yes. Well, we have a full-blown studio with a full bar in it and everything, so you're always welcome to come and join us there.
I would love that. Thank you guys.
We'll find
I
something for you to plug there. All right, so we're on the 18.
The 18. The nose seems softer.
Mhm.
The nose, it seems like there's less of a nose.
Because absolutely.
Yeah. And then the flavor.
So who is JP Weiser?
So JP Weiser, oh my gosh, he is a pioneer of the cattle industry. He was born in Trenton, New York, and he moved to Canada to help with his uncle's distillery
Okay.
because didn't want to be involved in this little thing called the American Civil War.
Oh yeah, the fair play.
So it was just really, really cool the way he sought after becoming part of his grandpa's distillery, or I'm sorry, his uncle's distillery.
Yeah.
He actually just wanted really good high protein grain for his cattle.
Oh.
And if you have your spent mash bill not mash bill, your spent grain, it's higher protein, fermented, and the cattle would grow faster, hence being able to go to slaughter quicker.
Yep.
And therefore, it's just an industry. We can't talk about whiskey as a whole as a category without talking about the whiskey barons of Canada, because they literally changed how we drink whiskey in this country. Goodham Warts, Hiram Walker, JP Weiser, Corby, these are all big master guys. We might even be talking about Molson. Remember the beer guy?
Sure.
We might be talking about him had he not sold his distillery 2 years before the Civil War.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
I think he did okay in the beer business, though.
Yeah.
I think he might have done okay.
But still.
Yes.
This is the 18. It's just easy. There's smooth trouble. It's
Yeah.
I hate this. Smooth is an overused word, but I'm grappling for. Help me out. Something smooth. Smooth is it? But I would say smooth is right.
But it's got a big flavor profile to it, though. I mean, so yes, I mean, most people I think associate smooth with being easy to drink, but I like a lot of flavor in my whiskey. This has got very
well.
lot of stuff
What's
going on.
your daily drinker? Like, what's your bottle at home if you're going to have one when you're watching, NCIS reruns?
Well, I like to have Woodford Reserve at the house.
Okay.
Yep.
But I mean, Buffalo Trace is always something that I like, and when I'm feeling it, Benchmark, which is the low end Buffalo Trace, is welcome in my home.
Yeah,
it's cheap, but it's got a nice hit.
A Benchmark.
I'll tell you what, it's underrated and it's ungodly cheap. And so it's one of those things that my goal is always to find something I really like to drink for the least amount of money possible. And all the things I like to drink get more expensive because people find them. So hey, Canadian whiskey may be an avenue to travel here.
Like my dad and I right now are on an Elijah Craig rye kick.
Yeah.
And we can't have enough of it around. Yeah. And it's just kind of it's the price point is right. It was Old Forester during COVID. Yeah. And you got that $26 bottle of 100 proof, 110 proof Old Forester at Kroger. Right? That's what started our rye, pattern. But during the podcast, we've had more and more Canadian whiskeys. And what was the one we did with from the Wine Garden?
The Caribou Crossing,
Caribou Crossing.
The Blanches of the North.
We'll have it in a maple old fashioned at the end of our tasting today.
Oh boy! All right.
So, the Whiskey
I
Society.
I didn't even know that. I let you right into it, didn't I?
I don't represent that brand, but you did. Okay. You did name one that I do, Elijah Craig. So thank you. I'll take yin and yang. We like
the Elijah Craig.
Yeah, that's when you spiced old fashioned syrup that you get with it too. If you have it yet laying around, let me know.
Yeah, sure. Would you guys be surprised to hear that this is 100% corn? Get out,
I'm
right?
kind of shocked on that.
Kick a chair. So good. 18 years in Canadian.
100% corn.
100% double column distilled corn. Yep. That's where you get. They're using ex-Canadian whiskey casks here.
Yeah.
That offshoot. Are you guys apple pie fans? Mm-hmm. Do you like a slice of apple pie?
Absolutely.
Do I have taste buds and a heart? Am I American?
Yeah. But that's where you'll get those bright, like almost Granny Smith apple tones, but then you'll get those warm baking spices, cinnamon, and just really nice caramel. Like literally, I would pour this over vanilla ice cream. Don't get mad at that.
That's a whole other podcast. We'll do that next.
But perfect pairings, whiskey and ice cream.
I've had bourbons that are corn heavy, or nearly, just heavy corn, and they're very corny. I never would have pegged this as a corny whiskey.
What I liked about that 18 though, I mean, there's just the right amount of burn to this, right? I mean, you want to feel your whiskey just a little bit. That's just the right amount. I mean, it's not anything that's overbearing. It's not going to make you cough. But it lingers on the tongue really well.
Yeah.
What's the proof on these? Are they?
Oh, that's a great question because I held up the bottle with the camera and I didn't even look myself.
We're going to the 80s.
All right.
That's where I like to stick. Those hundreds start getting you in trouble.
They do. Well, if you're not afraid of mixing, the hundreds with a Canadian, Canada Dry, is my favorite to mix 100 proof or 110. Yeah, because you get some of the burn still. Burners has a little more flavor to it. It takes away some of the whiskey, but I know that the whiskey distributors, you ask them, how should we drink your whiskey? The answer is always, however the F you want to drink it.
Absolutely. Right? I'm not going to dish on your delish. You do whatever you want.
So I never hesitate, but we do compare what our mixers are for some of the higher proof ones. We've talked about that. The Sprites, water, a lot of ice, a little ice.
A lot of ice.
Yeah.
That's my go-to there.
Yeah. I got to
dilute it.
As someone not from Michigan originally, I'm a born Texan, raised in Chicago, now living in Michigan. But my husband's a Michigander, and Verner's is his favorite mixer.
The diet one I can do, but otherwise I'll take it over ginger beer anytime. Yeah.
Ginger beer, a little heartburn goes with that.
Yeah, you got to do the diet ones. Otherwise, they're so saccharine, and it kind of dominates the flavor.
And speaking of saccharine, don't you you said corny earlier?
Yeah.
And those 100% corn American whiskeys that are very popular right now.
Yeah.
And that's just because of innovation. We have to kind of change our thought process of whiskey because the cellular structure of wood is not the same. So
Yeah.
It's the
people
first time the cellular structure of wood has come up on the Man Cave
I think
Happy
so,
Hour. We've
yes.
been doing this for a couple of years now.
you guys
drinking a
never
lot.
talk about
Oh, we
wood.
talk about the wood. Yes.
Not
We
the
did
cellular structure.
Not the cellular
Just
structure. That
how much
phrase,
we enjoy
that's the
it.
first time that phrase was up.
I was gonna say
So when we talk about how important the barrels are and how important the wood
Yes,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a liquor lady. I'm a lady that knows a lot about wood. So
All right, so on to the lot 40. This
All
chair.
right. So much like the Beatles, 3 down, 1 to go.
all right.
And
We're
So
starting to fill up here at WTF. You can hear the crowd. filling
Yeah,
around
the
us.
Beatles whiskey
The
bands
Whiskey
are rolling.
Society is a little rowdy.
Yeah.
On a Sunday at 12:42. You gotta love that.
we can't talk about Canadian whiskey with the misconception that it's all rye without actually tasting.
And all right.
An all right.
Yeah.
So lot 40. This is named after one of the first master distillers at the Hiram Walker's facility. When his family came to Canada, their plot of land was lot 40.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Okay.
This is the stories behind the spirits that we talk about here on the Man Cave Happy Hour.
All right.
And this is a bartender's dream. One of the reasons why you'll see lot 40 around is because rye brings something to the party, like vodka. Vodka keeps the lights on, but gin is really what makes a cocktail when we look at like martinis. Rye.
I don't disagree with you there, and that people will
Yeah.
argue that all day, but
Yeah.
gin is the cocktail party spirit.
Yes.
It really is.
And if you guys ever want to have gins with Jen, I'm down for it.
Write that down.
She's
But
a
when we talk about crafting a cocktail, right? I talked about the bartender's job is to take a spirit, add some sugar to it, add some bitters, maybe some juices or whatever. Rye with those beautiful baking spices, as opposed to soft corn, really lends itself to cocktail creation. It's not, well, I'll drink it neat, I'll drink it on a cube, but when you want to put some citrus or some bitters or a tincture or something like that, rye is really where you start to be able to flex. And rye is crazy because we haven't really been talking about that category for more than 5 years. It used to be something that you threw away.
It was just whiskey. No one said rye whiskey. You said whiskey.
Rye,
It was either bourbon or whiskey, and the rye part was kind of taken out of it. And you're talking about the mixing of cocktails and putting the bitters in and the syrups and all that. I was always, for years and years, under the impression that was America's way of consuming shitty liquor.
yeah.
Because it was the Prohibition era when you couldn't
It was
get
bad.
anything that was. So you put all the sugars in it, you put all the other things in it to make it tolerable. And we don't necessarily need to do that now, but that's the way you sell the booze to people that aren't liquor drinkers now.
Well,
you know?
I mean, you asked at the beginning, what was my experience with Canadian whiskey? I mean, it was just something you mixed with Coca-Cola back then.
Yeah,
That's what,
to get the job done.
You had 7 and 7, or you had Crown and Coke, or you had
Yeah.
Canadian and Coke. And I mean, that was basically what people
7
did.
and 7 is still the standard bowling alley and wedding reception drink of choice.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, I have a new appreciation. I mean, I haven't really delved into Canadians too much. I've had a couple, but not as much as I have with Irishes
I had
or
a
Scotch.
bartender at the
This is
tap room
good.
in Grosse Pointe point out lot 40 one night when they didn't have the Elijah Craig. You're like, you're gonna try the lot 40. You're gonna like that. I'm like, is that even? Oh, you're gonna like it. And since then, I've never shied away from a bottle I saw on the shelf because the price is right for the flavor.
Yeah. You're looking at about $40 a bottle.
Jeez,
And
really?
It's something that you can break out after a dinner. This goes amazing with a cigar if you guys are cigars.
Well, that's his side of the Man Cave Happy Hour. There's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
cigar and the logo, but I don't enjoy that part.
Yeah.
That's the smelly part of this podcast.
But what's crazy, right? If we go back to the front of our tasting, we go to the back of our tasting. The Weiser's 10 year is 90% corn and 10% rye. Canadians still call that a rye.
Yeah.
The lot 40 is 100% rye. So of course we call it a rye. That's why the Canadians are like the wild, wild west of when we look at all these rules and regulations.
Well, there is a American snobbery about blends, period.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a judgment that comes down right away. Oh, it's blended. It's not a single barrel from one guy's basement that's been there for 20 years. Yeah, no.
Grandpa's recipe and blah, blah, blah.
But it has sat there in a certain rick house under a lock and key with a federal bond stamp on it for so many years.
Yeah.
There is a certain snobbery in the American bourbon drinking, as they got to do that to keep the prices up, I think. For flavor wise, I've always said this since we started this podcast. I never shy away from a blend because it always tastes good. It always tastes consistent.
Consistency. That's the thing.
Huge.
Yeah. It's you get a barrel pick from a thing. It's like, oh, we love it. There's this one that we love.
Yeah.
And we drank it. It was gone, and we're like, oh, we're never gonna have that again. It's fun to get them, but it's always great to find something that you're gonna have to consist. You gotta know what you're getting.
We found a bottle of Old Soul that was gifted to the podcast. Old Soul from Mississippi. Wow, was that good stuff? We hid it in the back of the cleaning closet so no one would know it was there in the studio, and we knew what it was, and we'd go get a dram every once in a while.
Yeah.
But that was when it was
gone,
a one-off. When it was gone, it's gone.
We've had another one. They were good, but they weren't as good.
Yeah.
Right.
So weren't as good as that first one.
And that for me, that's part of the problem, right? Is that it's become a commodity.
Yeah.
Sure.
And you've got people who have these bottles and hoard them and don't appreciate what they're about, but they just have it because they can say, "I've got a bottle of Pappy in my house." Okay, great. You paid $3,000 for a bottle of whiskey.
Good Lord.
I can find whiskey that tastes just as good to me for $35.
Do you like pencils?
There, I mean, it's just that's it. Like I said, the goal for me is always to find the best stuff I can for the best price point. And that stuff is delicious.
Yeah, thank
All
you.
of these were good.
Yeah.
Thanks. And that's what my job is to bring these to my accounts. I represent Oakland County. I have about 300 different accounts. And some people listen, some people don't. But that's why I love Charlie and his team here because
I learned to listen.
Thank you.
Such a valuable relationship lesson, isn't it?
Right.
That I told him.
The girlfriend probably wants me to listen more, but it's fine.
So we got about 15 minutes, 12 minutes left, right? So I got a couple questions I need to ask before we get out of here. Okay.
You get it.
First of all, Charlie, what do you have coming up in the future for the Bourbon Society?
Oh.
Do you want me to speak to that?
You're gonna have to speak to that one because Jen and Roger do most of the planning for these, and they get super creative. I'm getting back into the realm of it with them, so I kind of let them have fair reign what they want to do. So I'll let them speak to that.
So February is going to be Valentine's Day. We learned our lesson last year. We did bottled and bond.
Oh.
In the dick.
100 proof.
I used to like the McKenna's.
She's very wholesome.
I wanted to do bonded together.
Oh,
for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
It turned into a Monty Python sketch. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead.
I wish it were that. No, Charlie got me a riding crop because it was bondage.
Wow. That's even better.
Yep.
But we realized with the amount of Ubers we had to order.
Good Lord, yes.
And we did Whiskey Taco Foxtrot does not condone drinking and driving.
No.
Please get home safely. But we learned maybe 100 proof or overproof all the time was not a good idea.
Sure.
So this one we're gonna do melt in your mouth.
Okay. All right.
What kind of toy are you gonna buy for that one?
We're gonna.
No, we're doing
Chocolate.
chocolate and whiskey pairings.
All right.
Which will lead us into Dirty Scout for March, which was really
It's a yearly. It's our most popular one, but it's a Girl Scout cookie pairing.
Nice.
with whiskey.
I know about that. We did a Girl Scout Woodford once, didn't we? Together.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And this year, being March, St. Patrick's Day, we're actually going to highlight Irish whiskeys, and we're going to highlight higher end Irish whiskeys. So just like you guys tasting through these Canadian whiskeys, that there are some Irish whiskeys out there that are absolutely phenomenal.
We did a blind taste test we had 6 bottles, but Catherine, my girlfriend, she only brought us 5, and we had to not only guess what they were, but then rank what we liked the most.
Yep.
And I feel like our palates were so torn up by all the bourbons we've been drinking that we were so mad at ourselves that Proper 12 was our winning whiskey.
Oh,
yeah.
Because it just has it has more flavor than Jameson or Bushmills.
They have the biggest marketing budget too.
Yeah.
It is all about
blind.
It's all about
this was
marketing.
blind.
But it was blind. So we blindly picked it.
It was a blind picked it, and we could only attest it to the fact that we're drinking so many flavorful, bold whiskeys all
We
the
had
time.
a green spot in there, and we had a Jameson's Black Barrel, Bushmills Black Label, whatever that is, Bushmills Black Bush. So they were pretty fair, and then we had one cheap one, like ginger, 2 fingers, ginger, 2 gingers or something.
Yeah, 2 gingers. Was
So,
if I could throw out some. When you guys are looking in March, look to it's a newer Natterjack. It's really cool. And then My go-to Dead Rabbit is like one of my favorites, but we'll be featuring
Never heard of it, but I'm in.
I like the name.
Yeah.
Dead Rabbit after one of the gangs of New York.
Yeah,
It's actually
all right,
a speakeasy in New York. It's one of the most iconic craft cocktail bars.
Okay.
It was but the one we're going to be featuring in March is called JJ Quarry, which has one of the first master blenders, female master blenders in Ireland, and she is groundbreaking, and it's just really cool. But we're going to be doing an 80s party later in the year with all 80 proof. We're going to be doing a luau with some rum casking.
I got to DJ the 80s before.
Jenny Flanagan is the guy for that.
Let's do
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
So
Kurt,
can people join? Can people join the? Can people join the Whiskey Tribe at any time?
At any time. So
Okay.
we do a yearly fee of $180. You can come in for basically $25 and enjoy this experience. So
the
if you're-
one-off. That's a
if
great
you
thing
want
to
to do a
know.
one-off,
Okay.
And it-
$25, and it is well worth your money. It's a show. It's a whiskey tasting. All this knowledge and Jen. It's amazing. But yeah, 180. You get the year. We do one every month. So it's a value that way as well.
Wow, yeah.
And again, it's community. We're always focused on let's be part of the community. Let's bring people in. Let's create connections.
I feel like your
It's
dad
huge.
told me you gave out like $30,000 in gift cards in 1 year alone. Something like that.
Somewhere around there.
Some really amazing
We-
number.
Not so much gift cards, but just donations.
Yeah, for like fundraisers
all the
and donations
fundraisers,
and things
all
like
that.
that. Yeah.
And it's good.
That's
I
amazing.
grew up in this town. I know the connection. I want to see us do amazing things for the town, and that's really where we want to be.
And well, we will let you guys go. We got to gear up
we
for
gotta-
our
you
show.
gotta go.
in
I-
a second.
Pull yourself
I
together.
have a costume change
Yeah.
that I need
Alright.
to go. Guys, thank you so much for having me on.
Yep.
I really appreciate it.
So we'll do it again. Thank you guys. Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers. Oh,
cheers.
and I made some banana bread with Lot 40.
crap.
Oh yeah. We'll do
You
that.
guys want a little nibble? Sorry, I'll get you a piece.
That's okay. I'll be all right.
I'll get you a piece. So typically we always do, not only do we do the tasting,
Oh my
but we
God,
always do a cocktail, sometimes a baked stuff.
so good. God.
And we always have some sort of like quiz or event to get the community involved. And I'm just so grateful to Charlie for allowing me to have a place to explore and I learn, right? This encourages me to really flex my brain, but now I'm going to go flex my shenanigans. So
Go.
thank you guys
Get
for
it.
having me here. I'm going to
We'll do it.
All
We'll do it
right.
all again
Thanks.
very, very soon.
Derek, what do you got going on these days?
Well, I'm just your friendly neighborhood PR man. Doing a lot of work in the real estate arena these days in terms of getting properties ready to either have ground broken or
Okay.
ribbons cut, that sort of stuff, and handling a lot of media relations, sometimes crisis communications. Hopefully not
Hopefully I
for my
won't need you.
client's sake, but yeah, well, but I do that kind of stuff. So
Good.
that's what I'm doing these days and enjoying a lot of it. And got my own podcast I'm ramping up at the firm these days. So it'll start probably in about February. I'll have my first episodes up there. Going to try to do something every couple of weeks. A lot of news, client stuff, but mostly sort of public affairs like I did back in the day.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Love it. Greg, we're going to have you back for sure.
I hope so. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll do more. Charlie, we're going to invade your space too more
Please.
often.
Yeah,
Thanks
I
for
love it. It's been fun.
thanks for
You know,
having us.
Jen's so knowledgeable. I had to bring her on. So
Yeah, we're
I
gonna
figured you
take
guys would
advantage
have
of
fun with
that.
Yeah.
We're gonna take advantage of that in the future.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
and she left all that whiskey behind.
I
So
know,
Well,
yeah.
and Clawson. I mean, what the heck is going on in Clawson?
I know.
I live in Ferndale. I haven't been up here in a while. This place is amazing. New
It's-
buildings.
It
It's,
has
it's
been
a lot like
booming.
Ferndale. It's boomtown.
We've got a nice, basically a restaurant association that we're trying to get things going. Like
you have a very
restaurant
strong
weeks
DDA down
and
there
things
too.
like that.
Yeah.
It's
Social district in the summer, better weather. You can come around, have a cocktail, walk around downtown Clawson. Nori Pooch is amazing. Weiss Distillery, love it. Grand River, Gus Snug. I love Gus O'Connor's out in Rochester. I love going to them. But, it's a whole town of people supporting each other, restaurants supporting other restaurants. We're all competitive, but we all like to help each other out. And,
nothing
I
like
think that's the important thing.
nothing like a good old fashioned real downtown.
Yeah.
That you guys have,
it's
and
huge.
building
they're
up that
moving
infrastructure
tables
is
around
huge.
here that's filling up so fast.
I know.
Yeah. we had about 10 people add on last night.
Oh, nice.
Oh, very good.
I think they had to console, the sadness at this point.
This place is great.
Thank you.
All right. So like, subscribe, leave a comment, right? Is that where we're at?
That's where we're at.
All right. And do all those podcast things in all the podcast places.
That's Jamie Flanagan over
That's
there.
August Hitchleg.
And thank you, Craig, for joining us.
Craig.
The legendary Craig
pleasure.
Fowler.
Thank you. Thank you.
Charlie, thanks for hospitality. I'm going to have some new food now.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll do it
guys.
again very, very soon. It's the Man Cave Happy Hour.